firstly, the question is, what is the pelvic floor and how does it work? Well, the pelvic floor is obviously down in our pelvic area. Men and women both have pelvic floors. What happens is that most women forget that the pelvic floor is just like any other muscle. So, like a bicep curl, as you move it and give it resistance, it gets stronger. After we have babies, and sometimes even not after we have babies, just sometimes anyway, our pelvic floor gets weaker. And as we age, our pelvic floor can also get weaker. So much like training a bicep to get stronger, we train the pelvic floor to get stronger as well. Now, that's just a basic overview. There's a lot involved in that, and that also includes people that hold their pelvic floor on for too long throughout the day. So actually need to learn to detrain the pelvic floor. So what we're going through again today is just the basics of the core, engaging the core and the pelvic floor, and disengaging the core and the pelvic floor. Okay, so to give you a visual cue, I have a pelvis here. You will notice all of the red inside. This is a woman's pelvis. You'll notice all of the red on the back side as well, and into the hip flexors. That is all your pelvic floor. So much like a sling, if you imagine a sling, your pelvic floor is a group of muscles that support the pelvis and the core as well as the back. So you have your multifidus muscles at the back that help with the pelvic floor. You have your transverse abdominal muscles at the front as well as the obliques. And then you have the group of muscles deep inside underneath that help you pull up. Now, your bladder, your bowel or your bladder, your rectum, and your transverse abdominals all work together to pull the sling up. If you've ever heard of Kegel exercises, that's what I'm talking about. So thinking about holding onto a poo, holding onto a wee, and pulling your tummy in just a tiny little bit, not so you cannot breathe though, and grouping all of those muscles together to work in conjunction and pull up and inside your body, much like you would have a piece of string pulling up through the top of the head. That's how you want to be able to engage the pelvic floor up. Now, the next thing is letting it go. So letting the pelvic floor drop. Many women can usually hold their pelvic floor on too tight. This can cause all sorts of pelvic pain as well as incontinence issues. So what must come up must also come down. So it's very important when we go through the exercises that as you engage, when you're finished, you actually release off as well. So you're feeling the engagement, the pulling up, and you are feeling the release at the same time. Again, a women's health physiotherapist will assess you with this and tell you what you need to work on and give you specific exercises to work on what you need. So take these basics slowly. If you need a hand, please let us know and I can guide you to a women's health physiotherapist. And I can also guide you through some different basic core foundational exercises. Okay, let's get into it. You will need a mat. You will need a ball, but don't worry if you don't have a ball, you can just use a cushion. And you'll also need a stretchy band. But again, you don't need to necessarily have the stretchy band, but if you've got one handy, you can use it in this course as well. Okay, let's go.